Okay, so question 11. The diagram shows an industry producing under conditions of constant average costs. Um, Under perfect competition, the industry produces output OV, so like this much, which makes sense because, well, if this is your, if they're constant average cost, then your marginal cost would also be the same, would also be like a horizontal, would be the same line basically. So, and you would, um, and it's producing output OV, okay, under perfect competition, obviously. So if you think about it, under perfect competition, if you're producing output, this particular output, where average revenue is equals to average cost, this is a case of normal profits, which makes sense because, well, you are in perfect competition here. Um, which area measures the increase in the industry's profits if it were to become a monopoly? So basically, any profit that it earns as a monopoly is an increase, because here it's not really earning any profits. It's earning is just earning normal profits. So if you go on, so whatever increase in whatever profits we see as a monopoly, those would automatically be the increase, because an increase from normal profit from zero, basically it's gonna be uh, the increase, right? So monopoly would equate MR with MC, would produce here. If you look at it, this is your AC, this is your AR. So this particular thing is your per unit profit, and you multiply that by quantity, giving you this as the profit earned by the monopoly, which is X, Y, W, and T. So X, Y, W, T. And obviously, since before it was only earning normal profits, any profit that it earns now, the super normal profits would be an increase to what it was earning before. When is collusion likely to be successful in an oligopolistic market when barriers to entry are relatively low? Not really. You want barriers to entry to be high so that these particular firms that are colluding have and can maintain their market power. Firms have accurate information about each other's output levels, probably, because if you have accurate information about each other's output levels, you would know if someone tries to cheat, and sell perhaps more than what the particular output quota they are given. Um, there are significant differences in firms' cost of production. No, you would prefer the cost of production to be very similar, so that all firms can agree to a particular price and a particular output. And if there's a lot of fluctuations in demand, that wouldn't help, because then you would have to continuously meet again and again to fix price and output. Then demand change, so you have to fix that price and output again. So that wouldn't really help. The diagram shows how a firm's average profit and marginal profit vary at differing levels of output. If the firm produces output OQ, where basically marginal profit, so the idea here is that marginal profit is equals to 0, which statement is correct? The firm is maximizing its profit, because if you remember, we used to do this for product for revenue. We used to say that when MR is 0, TR is maximum, and that same mathematical relationship applies with profit. When marginal profit is 0, your profit overall, your total profit, is maximized. 14. A firm wishes to acquire some of the consumer surplus its customers currently enjoy. How might it achieve this? Obviously, through price discrimination, and to take that consumer surplus and convert it into producer surplus. Um, I mean, and this is just a very common question. So, to acquire consumer surplus, you do need to take into account price discrimination. If it reduces the cost, you can maximize profit, but not capture consumer surplus. Maximizing revenue would not capture the consumer surplus, and taking economies of scale is basically reducing average cost. So that might maximize profit, or that might help you gain profit, but would not necessarily capture the consumer surplus. A country's steel producers are members of a cartel. Okay, so steel producers are members of a cartel. Each member is allocated a production quota and initially produces the maximum allowed under its quota. What will be the effect on total steel production and the industry's total profits of allowing the producers to trade the quotas amongst themselves. So, effect on production, I think there should be no change, because the idea here was initially every single firm produces to the maximum allowed under its quota. So if people are given like 10 units, 100 units, 1,000 units, whatever, they were all producing the same thing. So even if they can change, uh, they would trade quotas only um, if you can produce that particular amount. So the output would still remain the same. If you look at profits, however, I believe here profits should increase, because eh, although these are all steel producers, but between producers, your MES, your minimum efficient scale can vary. So someone might have a LRAC like this. Someone might have a cost curve that isn't that wide, so they might want to produce this particular amount of output. They might want to produce a lot more output. So if you trade, that is how you can reduce costs and hence obviously increase profit, because the total revenue in this case, um, yeah, and yeah, so and increase profit because the price is fixed. Does that make sense?
Listen,
Hmm?
can it be ऐसा कि total profits कम हो? Because I don't think they've provided sufficient information. I think it's going to be D.
I think it should increase.
C.
But why would you buy a quota if you
Yeah, individual profits बढ़ जाएंगे, but the total profits going to remain the same. I think so.
if the individual profits increase and the individual profits make up the total profits?
But नहीं, like if you're taking someone else's quota, that means कि तुम्हें वो वाला profit मिल गया and that person उसका profit कम हो गया.
नहीं ना बिलाल, देखो, a person who sells this quota will also get a money, some money in return. ना ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि फ्री में बेच देगा वो जिसको पैसे मिलेंगे.
And like you will only sell a quota if it's beneficial, right? So like suppose you have this curve and तुम्हारा quota इतना था, it's not even, and you were producing to the maximum. So here in fact you're not even minimizing cost. So it doesn't really make sense to produce this much. In fact, it's better off to sell off and have a quota that allows you to produce at minimum cost.
Okay.
Bilal is subdued. Anyhow, the introduction of a minimum hourly wage for all workers of 21 years of age, the kind of rhymes that say, is expected to increase the average wages of these workers. What will be the likely effect on workers under 21? So unemployment, I believe, should fall because you employ more under 21, because these guys, the over 21s are more expensive. So you're like, let's just employ more of the under 21s, and basically what's happening here is the demand for labor for the under 21s could have gone up, because you don't want these guys. So you're probably reducing the quantity of these guys and demanding more on the under 21s. If you demand more of these guys, of the under 21s, your wages also should rise as they were as compared to what they were before. So you can go with 16B. 17, a government introduces tax incentives which promote effort and enterprise. So promote effort and enterprise. They also redistribute income from those who receive a higher marginal utility from money to those with a lower marginal utility from money. So that is interesting. So those that have a higher marginal utility of money are normally your poor people, because for them every additional dollar is like much more valuable. If you're a millionaire, on the other hand, then an additional dollar really doesn't make that much difference to you. The marginal utility for money for you, it's not zero, but it's very, very low as compared to a poor guy, at least. So this is rich. So what they're basically saying is that the income goes from poor to rich because it goes from higher MU to lower MU. Okay, so what effect will these tax incentives have on efficiency and equity? So equity should reduce because, well, you're taking money from the poor and you're giving it to the rich. How is that fair? But they do promote effort and enterprise. If they're promoting effort and enterprise, I believe that will increase efficiency. Can we go with B?
But isn't like incentives in terms of fact कि if people know कि उनके पैसे मतलब टैक्स दे दिया जाएगा उन पे तो फिर why would they अच्छा incentives. But like again, what I'm trying to say is like if poor people do not have those incentives, would they have the motivation to work better?
But they haven't left that to our own thinking, right? They've said that they promote effort and enterprise. So like I believe enterprise and effort is being promoted generally. I mean, they haven't given us any idea which tax it is and all, so maybe it's not best to overthink this. Just to what do you think? Yeah, like
Uh,
I mean, because they've told you कि ये है, ये है, ये है, so just maybe just stick to that. I don't know if that would happen in a realistic case, but like at times it just gives you hypothetical cases. Anyhow, the diagram shows the private and social costs and the private benefits. Okay, so private costs, social costs, and private benefits that arise as the number of car journeys into a city center increases in the absence of any external benefits. Which volume of traffic would maximize the community's welfare if entry could be restricted through the issue of permits? So if you think about it, if there are no external benefits, then marginal private benefit becomes equals to marginal social benefit because there are no external benefits. And you want MSB, which is basically now this line, equals to MSC, which is this particular amount. So, and you're looking for which volume of traffic would maximize the community's welfare. So which is fine, and that's going to be C. You can go with that. 19, the diagram shows the number and amount of fines imposed by the US Department of Justice for firms' illegal cartel behavior between 1980 and 2001. So the number of fines is in black, and the amount of charged by the fine is the dotted thing, and that's shown by this particular axis. What is the most likely conclusion from the diagram about the view of the US Department of Justice of firms' cartel behavior? It believed that cartel behavior was unimportant before 1980. Well, you haven't been given any information before 1980. What you do know, however, that the amount of fines, the amount for a fine was like really close to, was like pretty much zero for 1980. So probably gonna stick to zero, probably something really low or equals to zero before 1980. I think that's one conclusion that you can draw. But again, don't know for sure. It could just it could be zero in 1980. Could have just go up from that from from there. So like let's leave option A for now. We can come back to that later. It is believed that illegal cartel behavior was insignificant in 2011. Well, not really. It's not insignificant. There were like 15, I don't know, 15 odd fines, and they were pretty hefty fines as well, around 400 million. So I don't think that's insignificant. It believed that increasing fines was necessary to deter cartel behavior. Well, when it did increase fines, the cartel behavior did go down because the number of fines went down. So maybe we can put this on hold and look at it a little after we look at the other options. It believed that the free market can regulate cartel behavior. Of course not. If it believed in that, then why would it be imposing fines? So we're now left, if I can just clear this up, we're left with A and with C. Guys, what do you think?
I think it's going to be C.
Okay.
Because you don't actually have any information before 1980. So you can't really judge.
Yeah, okay. And Sharyar?
Even I think C because like A you're not really sure A से पहले so conclude कैसे करो?
Exactly. And the idea was the most likely conclusion from the diagram. So from the diagram, well, we don't even see a diagram before 1980. So you can cross that out. Because even though it goes to zero here, it could rise up. It could have been like in 1970s, could have been higher. We don't know. And it is believed that increasing fines was necessary to deter cartel behavior could be okay, because well, they have increased fines. So, and that could be a conclusion you can draw, because cartel behavior did go down. So and as it started to go down, they further increased fines. So that could be a reason, a conclusion that you can draw. During a year, a country's national income in money terms increases by 8%, total population increases by 2%, and real income per head remained constant. What is the approximate change in the average price level? So if you look at real income per head, if it remained constant, then the percentage increase in real income per head is zero. The percentage increase in a country's national income in money terms was 8%. But if you look at it, this is supposed to be, you're supposed to divide it by total population to get per head. So such that if if you look at this, and this is population. So if population increases, the overall effect on GDP per head is one that is negative. So that's why you're going to subtract the total population increase, and then you have X. So this X should be X is basically the change in the price level. So X is -6, and the idea was, in fact, a better equation would be if you subtract X, because again, when you're adjusting for the price level, you take it away. The higher the prices, the lower the real GDP per head. So that means that your, what do you say, your price level should increase by 6%. Do you guys think this was a sufficient explanation, or would you guys want to explain this in some other way?
No.
I think it's good.
You think it's good? We can quickly check our answers for this one. So we got all these questions correct, and so we're fine with these 10 MCQs. We'll finish this paper off in the next video.